This is the definition.
Oh, portent. Yeah, I know this word.
No?
That's right. Skula, by definition, is something.
Something
it's
that attracts something else. No?
It's action at a distance. It's that I do something here and something happens unrelated in a different place.
It attracts something else from somewhere else.
It's like I can't see the connection. It would be like what we call today non-locality.
Oh.
It's like somehow I'm doing one thing here and something. And all of Chinese medicine is like that.
Yeah,
there's no connection. They dream up that there's lines or whatever, meridians or whatever, but in the end what they're doing is they're saying, I touch it here and something else happens somewhere else.
That's acupuncture.
Acupuncture works that way. All Chinese medicine is based on that. The Sefer Torah is based on the same idea. But the Maharal writes that all medicine, when it comes to this level, when you go to the level of Hashra, this is the level of Hashra really, when you talk about sgulot, all medicine is local. It's very interesting. He says there's a flip in it. There's like a twist in the whole thing. On the one hand, you're doing things without connection. Mm-hmm. They're non-local, but it's only in the body. And if the body goes somewhere else, it acts differently. So his theory was that Chinese medicine, he didn't know about Chinese medicine, but he wrote this about different medicines in different in parts of the world. He said they only work where they are. They won't work somewhere else. So in Eretz Yisrael, there's a good theory, or at least in Mesopotamia and the whole of the Middle East, that the medicine that should work in this way is not Chinese medicine, but rather the system in the Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah gives a very interesting system. It says, like, for instance, the left foot is connected to the right eye. And if you want to affect the right eye, so you have to work on the left foot.
Work on the left foot? Does it explain how to work on the left foot?
No, so one of the systems that used to be used was bloodletting. Bloodletting also worked the same way. Did it work? Did it not work? I don't know. Does it work?
Yes. No.
Today it doesn't work anymore.
For high blood pressure.
What?
Very good for high blood pressure.
For high blood pressure. Maybe that was the main thing people suffered from. Who knows? Because they didn't eat very well back then.
They used to bloodlet everybody, like kids, dogs, anybody.
Okay. Anyway, all these things are easy to scoff at, but they weren't stupid. I mean, they did trial and error. So you might say that they weren't meticulous in their experimentation. They didn't know about double-blind studies. They did more.
There's demons in the blood that you need to purge the blood.
Today we say there's a bacteria. There's no difference. Today you say the person's mentally ill. Whether you say that it's from the outside or you say whether it's from the inside, those are more like fashions about how to talk about something. You know, about HIV, there was this whole, I don't know if it's even been decided yet. The French direction in research on HIV was that HIV doesn't cause AIDS, that there's no connection between it. You know what this whole thing was big machlokas in the 90s.
What?
Okay. And I think it was decided in the end by a very, again, brute force method, which was, there was real science behind this. It's not idiots who wrote the papers, the French papers, who argued that this is not what causes AIDS. AIDS is something else. And in the end, it was decided because suddenly you got this cocktail, and that's it. And the cocktail was somehow, I don't know exactly what it does to HIV, to the virus itself, but it was geared towards the virus. Who knows? I don't know if we really know. They found that the cocktail of drugs worked so well that suddenly it looked like, well, it is a virus and we're conquering it. We're beating it using this cocktail. So I don't know if it was decided scientifically or not. I really don't know. I'm just saying, I'm only up to date. In the 90s when I heard about the argument between the French and the Americans about what was causing this disease. In any case, I don't think we ever know exactly how nature works. I think we're always instrumentalists. We always see nature from the outside. We can't measure it directly. We can't come to experience it directly. So because of that, we're always building a theory, and some theories are better and some are worse, but they're all theories in the end. Okay, so Yaakov has to do something new, some new segula. To get these lights down, you have to do something new. So now he says, what did he do? וידוע שהאמן צריך להיות לפי אופן ההמשכה שרוצה להמשיך, משום שלפי אופן העלה, כך היא המשכה. He says, the mind nukvi, what you do from your awakening from below has to fit what you want to bring down. והואיל וכן, מאחר שביתו היה רק שני קווים, לכן הוא צריך יעקב לעשות עצמו גם כן בדוגמה זו. So he says the fact that he split was not because he's telling us that I'm the third, I'm the middle line, I'm in the middle. No, rather what he's stressing is, I, like you, Esau, only have two lines. He's doing something. The splitting of the camps is actually, he says, is an awakening from below. It's like doing something. It's a very interesting thing. He's not really doing a mitzvah, it's not anything like that, but he's doing an act, and this act awakens something from above. And why I say again two lines? Because we said that in the young person, there's like two. There always are two options, but he can only exercise one at any given moment. But there are still just two lines. There's no middle line that can combine the two together. That can bring it include them. So he's like mimicking. He's awakening what Esau has. Esau is like a child in that sense. He's immature. So either he's loving kindness or he's might. He can't do both together. It's one or the other. So that's like saying that he's in two lines. So Yaakov divides his camp. Dividing the camp itself is an act. So let me give an example of this. Rebbe Usher, he had a lot of chesed. Like he started the whole organized chesed thing. So he had the Yad Ezra, he had or Sha'arei Ezra, whatever it's called. So there was always a lot of food. His house, when you walked into it, everywhere there were crates of food, like either vegetables or stuff being already cooked and ready to be given out, whatever, everything under his, everywhere you can fit something, there was food. And once a month they used to go, they had this big thing that they used to go to Meron. That was the Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos Mevarchim. Every month they used to go up to Meron. It was a big group, about 30, 40, 50 people. And remember, this is like 60s, 70s, hardly anybody went up there. It was a long trip also. And they used to bring all the food with them. They actually, over time, they built shacks there. And there was a lot of stuff. Today, you go to Meron, it looks like, wow. In the 60s and 70s, there was nothing. Hardly anybody went. And it was part of his keeping it up, like making the place more popular. So they used to bring all the food with them. So they cooked it a few days before, and then they put it in the fridges. There's a lot of fridges in that house also, and refrigerators. And they would put everything together on Erev Shabbos, on Friday, on Thursday night, and early in the morning they'd leave. So the story goes that one time they came to take the gefilte fish, and they realized that there was a whole refrigerator of gefilte fish. They realized that the whole refrigerator had broken down at some point in the middle of the week, and everything smelled like it smells after a week in a closed place. So they opened up, and he walked by, and he smelled it apparently, and he saw them tossing it out. So he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "We're throwing it out. We don't have any gefilte fish, but we'll survive with other things." He said, No, don't throw it out. Let me see. So he took the gefilte fish, stack after stack, and he started separating them. He took every patty, he smelled it, he said, "This doesn't smell so bad," and put it on the side. And he took another one, this one smells bad, so he put this one smells okay. And he kept going until he had separated them into two groups. And then he took the two groups and he mixed them up again. And he said, "Okay, smell them." So they smell, no more smell, it's all gone. He says, "Taste it." And taste it, it's fine, it looks okay. He goes to the next tray, does the same thing. He separates it. This doesn't smell so bad, it's here. This one smells bad, it's here. And he separates. And then after he finished separating, he goes, he mixes them all up. Okay, just smell these. How do they smell? They're all good. Suddenly everything turned good. So what did he do? What's he doing? He's doing some kind of avoda like Yaakov, like you're bringing down. How can you make a fish that's gone bad suddenly be good? It doesn't work that way.
Because it wasn't never good and it's never bad.
Oh, so I have to bring something from above. So my theory always that he did exactly what Yaakov did here, that he did the yachatz. He divided it into two, and it's a work. And it's funny even. People looked at it. It was kind of ridiculous. Doing it all smells terrible. So this one doesn't smell so bad. This one smells like that. What are you doing? This is nothing. This means nothing. You're not doing it. It's just silly. But that silliness and doing it, that he did it seriously. He says, what's the example? Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, it says, Hashem said to the oil that it should light. You can tell the vinegar to light also. There's no difference for Hashem. It's all the same. But I have to awaken that place that's without limits. And that place that's without limits, that's exactly the Torah that Yaakov wants here. So he says, I have to bring down something. So in order to do it, I sort of divide it into two somehow. And what's the division? Oh, the ones who smell bad, they go here. It's like the lower part of the kind of. Most people think that he put all the shvachot on one side and the gvirot on the other side. He put Bila and Zilpa and their children on one side. And the Rebbe has a sikha that that's not what he did, but it doesn't matter exactly what he did. He divides it into two. In the end, everything is mixed back up again. And suddenly he looks at kedei limtzo chen b'nei Adoni, all to find favor in your eyes. Esau, not Esau the person, but what Esau represents. So the same thing that Esau had, now he has. Now he brings it down. And he does it by this silliness, this thing that's the same thing Rabusha used to tell when they had eggs and they need to crack eggs. So the story goes that one time he saw somebody cracking eggs. Every egg he cracks is full of blood. So he looks at him and says, you don't know how to crack an egg. He takes eggs, mixes them up, and then takes one. Nothing. Next one. He did 2 cartons full of eggs. Not a single one had blood. He says, you don't know how to crack eggs. You think that it's a technical thing. It's not technical. It could be that really they did have some kind of problem with him before. But again, his mind is somewhere else. And the moment his mind, he's doing something even looks stupid, looks silly. But that silliness is exactly what turns on this flow from above, which is without limits. The Baal Shem Tov was very fond of this. He used to say that the Gemara and the Mesechus Tainus, I think, that who has a part in the world to come? These 2 guys who go around joking and making everybody happy. Why? Because they're separated. They're taking out limits. What is Olam Haba? Olam Haba is a place without limits. Okay.
So in reality, limits are defined by us.
Hashem defined limits. There's a world that we created, and we like limits. We don't know how to live without limits.
So I'm saying
we have to have.
We
said it, but we go by the Torah. We didn't invent these limits. The Torah said this you can, this you can't. Said it, all very good. Now I have to find a way within all of this to create something interesting that is a new type of avoda. It's got to be in the mutter sense. It can't be something that I can't make something that's prohibited, permitted. But I can do something interesting with what's permitted. Again, with the whole b'chol d'rachecha de'ehu, the whole point of b'chol d'rachecha de'ehu, the whole, call it the neutral realm of the world, where Torah doesn't really tell me yes, doesn't really tell me no, is to create interesting things with it. Is to use it to serve Hashem. That means to know Hashem here in this thing. So there, it's not exactly to create a limit. It's to do something. I mean, mixing fish is mutter. It's not. It's a little silly what he's doing, but settle. And suddenly that brings down. Okay, every time you do something new, it's a chance for new light to come down. So Yaakov had to do something new here. So he divided it into 2 camps. So it's not just, it's part of his avoda. It's part of what he's doing. Okay, so we have to end here. God willing, tomorrow I'll try to get into the more general side of this.